Welcome to the Expat Edge with Marcus and Matt, where we answer your questions about becoming an expat to help you thrive abroad. Hey everyone, welcome to the Expat Edge. Matt, I have an important question for you. Do you regret being an expat?
No, not at all. I think the best decision I ever made in my life was spending time as an expat, and I would happily do it again whenever the opportunity appears. I think becoming an expat gives you so much more perspective, not only on your own country, but just on life in general. Being able to see what real struggle is for people outside the US. I think in the US especially, we are kind of shielded from real problems. I think even some of the poorest, I'm not talking necessarily about homeless people in the US. I mean, they've got their own problems, but I'm talking about people who live in, poverty in the US still have it very, very good, by global standards. Even in Russia, where we both spent significant time, there are still millions of people who do not even have plumbing inside their house.
Right.
And so, we really get a different perspective on life having lived in another country. I guess if you go to the UK, it's not going to give you the same perspective, because, the life there is, pretty good as well. Same in Germany and most of Western Europe. But if you live in a country where there's, developed cities, but also outside of the major cities, it's not as developed, you're going to see, real problems. And I think that sense of perspective that you get is invaluable. You look at everything differently. That would be probably my number one thing I've gained from being an expat.
Yeah, I would agree with those points. Certainly you get an experience that you gain experience you would never have gained. I was thinking about this more kind of regarding our family, kids and what my kids didn't necessarily, they're not growing up with the American upbringing per se. Their dominant language is English, of course. They speak Russian and German, but which is an experience of itself, right?
Yes.
But sometimes I do think, do I regret not bringing up my kids in the U.S.? And I think they're missing out on maybe spending time with their grandparents or more time with their grandparents or something. Yeah. But when you compare everything across, when you lay everything out on the table and see that the experience that they're gaining and we're gaining as parents, I think I would agree with you that I don't regret it, because it's an experience that gives you so much more than you could ever do elsewhere. Right.
Right.
Just seeing the world and like, even as a young person, knowing that things are done differently. I had that experience when, my mother's German, so I had that experience. A lot of my friends at school didn't have that. So I would say hands down, it's an experience that's worth it for you as an individual, maybe a single person, and also your family.
Right. Exactly. Well, I think with family and with kids, having them have that exposure to another language, another culture is absolutely invaluable. Again, in the US specifically, I think in Europe, it's maybe a little bit better. You're exposed to more cultures, but in the US, unless you live in a big city, you are not exposed to anything or any other cultures. Usually, if you've got people from other countries living in a small town, they do everything they can to assimilate and, be American, which in many ways is very good, right? But on the other hand, it doesn't allow Americans to understand and appreciate different cultures and different languages as most of the world does. And I think the last thing, or maybe even the most important thing, is working in another culture gives you so much valuable experience that people in the United States will never have. I mean, being able to work with different people in different cultures and being able to, come to agreement, and understand different kind of hierarchies of power within companies. I mean, this is something that nobody in the US is generally able to do. So just having that flexibility in your work, or your career rather, is incredibly important. I think being able to work in multiple countries is more important than any skill that you need for your job. For example, you can always learn how to be a better programmer or how to do marketing or how to do anything really. But being able to work internationally with different cultures and different people is not something that most people in America are able to do. And so it kind of puts you in a very unique position.
And nowadays with things going online, well, I mean, they're already online, you know, you have a team across the world, you're able to sympathize with your team because you know a little bit more about their perspective and things. Like, let's say, you know, you are in IT or something like that, where you have team members across the world. You can
exactly,
you have a better understanding of their position and things. So I think for both of us, it's not even a question whether we regret it, right?
Of course, and I would do it again.
Yeah, I would do it again. And sometimes I have my kids saying, well, why can't we go to the US, or why can't we? Because, you know, you see like pop culture and movies and things like that. And they're like, I want to experience that too. But the value that they're getting through this experience, I think outweighs what they could, just being in one place. So
right, I agree. So we definitely think that being an expat is worth it, and there are no regrets on our behalf. Let us know if you've been an expat and did regret something or missed out on something in your home country. I've very rarely met someone who regretted being an expat. I think everybody looks back on their experience in other countries with fondness, and we hope you enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time. This was the Expat Edge with Matt and Marcus. We hope you enjoyed the video. Visit theexpatedge.com for even more content that will help you thrive abroad. You can submit your ideas for video topics and sign up for free at theexpatedge.com. See you there.